Welcome to the Fight Night Daily podcast here, myself and Spencer Oliver here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in North London. November the 15th, unfinished business. Chris Eubank against Conor Benn after that spectacular first fight. 7 months later, they do it again. Spencer, we have witnessed a great piece of showmanship from both sides here at this press conference, but particularly again from the one and only Chris Eubank Jr.
He is the ultimate showman, isn't he? And I think we witnessed that again up there. He's obviously thought about what he was going to say, what he was going to do here at this press conference, and really, it was the Chris Eubank Jr show again.
He has just faced off with Conor Benn. No pushing, no shoving, but plenty of verbals, plenty of soapbox from both sides, to be honest. Repartee, argumentation between, notably, Chris Eubank and Eddie Hearn. He complained about so many things, Chris Eubank. He accused the other team of not allowing him outside in the ambulance. That will be played out when he was dehydrated after the fight. He complained about the clauses that Matchroom had made him sign. He complained about the boxing board of control and the fines and questioned where the fine money goes. A lot of things that he wants the boxing world and the media to answer, but some of it was a ploy, some of it was gambits, some of it was just to get under the skin, maybe of Eddie Hearn, and I feel like he did get under the skin of Eddie Hearn today.
Absolutely. Rarely do we see Eddie Hearn rattled, and I think that we did see him rattled again today. You know, I had a conversation with Eddie before that. Eddie knew what he was coming into. He knew what he was going to go into. Actually, he got more words off than he thought he was going to get off, that's for sure, because he said he probably won't let me speak again, and Chris Eubank Jr did try to shut him down, but you know what? He's a genius, isn't he? You've got to say Chris Eubank Jr is a genius at this. When we're talking about mind games, and this is where the mind games start, right here, right now. You know, it's about getting inside your opponent's head, you know, making them thinking about you day and night. And that's what he seems to do so well, Eubank Jr.
Well, the thing about him is, people complain that he doesn't give a lot, that he's never won a world title, but he has been in enormous fights. Their first fight here 5 months ago, as it is now, was really arguably the fight of the year. 12 rounds of coruscating action. He got his words off today, but Conor Benn had a very good go at Ben Shalom, Eubank's promoter as well, saying, I don't even know what you're doing up here, which was a reference, of course, to the fact he doesn't have a Sky deal anymore, that he's a quasi-promoter now. So he got his sixpenneth worth in as well.
Absolutely. Listen, look, Conor Benn, we know, is very emotional. Yeah, I thought he'd done a good job here today, because he said that's why he lost the fight last time out, because the emotions took over him. It was the first time on that sort of stage, stadium fight, a lot on the line. He said emotions beat him as opposed to Chris Eubank Jr. He controlled those emotions today. He was very good. You know, they're both very good salesmen when it comes to selling fights. I think he controlled the emotions very well. He had a little go at Ben Shalom. Ben Shalom went back at him, but he kept his cool. I like to see that from Conor, because perhaps he has learned from the last one where we saw him and the emotions were over the top, and we said we think he gets beat for that reason as well.
Well, we're joined by Ben Shalom, of course, promoter Ben Shalom, promoter of Chris Eubank Jr. He had his repartee with Eddie Hearn today. You had a bit of repartee with Conor Benn unexpectedly.
Listen, I was expecting that from Conor Benn. He's I had to say, what are you famous for? What is the reason that this fight is you're even on the same stage as Chris Eubank Jr.? And there's only one reason. The first fight was incredible. It really was. It was a special fight. It was a special night, and fair play. It was a very close fight. But what Chris had to go through to get in that ring, a lot of what he talked about up there was true. The contractual clauses, breaches, the weigh-in, the media in the weigh-in, the rehydration clause, the things going on with the board. He had to come through all that and then got in the ring and then still won. And now he's got Brian McIntyre in his corner. I think it's going to be a completely different fight. I think that was the night to get Chris Eubank Jr. and they didn't do it.
Before Spencer comes in, on the rehydration clause this time, the news at the moment is you didn't challenge it this time. Did you or not?
This time?
Yeah, this time around.
This time, there is nothing in our... We aren't happy with the rehydration clause. Chris isn't committed to that rehydration clause again, as of yet.
Okay.
And the initial time it was put in front of us, it was an ultimatum. It was the fight's not happening unless this. So Chris is in a difficult position then. Everything's been agreed. Everything. You're talking, we've gone through the contract, we've done every single clause. We get to the last moment. I think it was, if I remember, maybe just before the press conference or something, and then it was landed on us, an ultimatum like that. In the end, Chris is a money man, and he accepted the challenge. Is it healthy? Is it right? Is it absolutely, should it be banned from boxing? Absolutely. Did Crawford need a rehydration clause against Canelo? No, he didn't. And so I don't think it should not be used in this fight. Absolutely not. And people could say, oh, well, he missed the 160. He missed the 160 because of what was going on. And it was nothing to do with the weight, right? He missed it by half an ounce because of the timings and everything and the commotion that was going on in that weigh-in. And then he was given like 4 minutes to weigh in. It was one of the most ridiculous scenes I've had in boxing. The rehydration clause is what is a problem. And that is what should be not happening in this fight.
And Ben, so people understand
that as well,
Ben, people understand the rehydration clause. When you box for a world title, there's certain rehydration clauses that are in world titles are £12. The rehydration clause in this fight is £10, and that is it may not seem like a lot to a lot of people, £2 in fluid, but it's a huge amount. And I think that was the big problem, wasn't it? And a big arguing point, and still the arguing point going into this
fight. It just shouldn't be allowed in British boxing. It shouldn't be allowed. Why can you put that into a contract? The fighter's safety is paramount. That's what the board are here to do. It shouldn't be happening. I don't believe it will happen.
You said it. That's what the board are here to do. Robert Smith was also roundly criticised by Chris Eubank Jr as well. What can you do to remonstrate with the board over it then?
Just that it's not within the rules of British boxing.
But can you take them to task over it? Can you do it legally and contractually?
First of all, legally, we're not going to get in a tangle like that with the board. I've got a lot of respect for Robert, a lot of respect for the British board, and they do a lot. I'm saying as a boxing fan, don't put ultimatums on fighters to do rehydration clauses that don't exist in any regulation for any world title. It's not safe. I've seen it firsthand. I'm in that hospital with him after that fight, and there's only one reason, and it's dehydration.
You're clearly angry about it.
No, it just shouldn't. Everyone can see it for what it is. It shouldn't happen.
Right, Ben. Well, let's get on to the press conference and Chris Eubank Jr. and how he deals with that so well. Like, you must have those conversations before he comes out. You know, he must tell you sort of how it's going to go. But there was a couple of times up there when he was saying certain things, and I see you holding your head in your hands, where you think, please don't go there. And Eddie was trying to push him on a couple of bits as well.
You know what it is? It's just the work involved. I know what these guys are like, and these guys will make things difficult sometimes, and you've got to watch what you say at times. And yeah, it means it creates a lot of work. At the end of the day, Chris Eubank Jr is Chris Eubank Jr because he speaks his mind, and that's why we love him, and that's why the people love him, and he's been a shining light in British boxing, and it's never going to stop. Is it going to come with hard work? Absolutely, I'm sure.
Ben, great to see you as always. Thank you very much indeed. We look forward, thank you, to another massive night on November the 15th here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I've never heard Ben swear quite so much before. He is clearly lit up by this scenario, and it's not fair on them. And I agree with that. He knows that we know that as well.
Yeah.
You know about weight clauses.
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous thing for boxers not being able to rehydrate ahead of. This is a world title fight in more terms than not, really, isn't it?
Listen, I'm living proof that, you know, injuries can happen in the ring through dehydration, through making weight, through not being able to rehydrate properly. So I understand it. The guys now, the promoters are now emotionally involved. You know, they saw what a big spectacle it was last time. I think this one's going to be even bigger this time as well, you know, because I think that what we definitely know now is that we've got a real fight. These guys are going to leave it all in the ring. You know, they are going to come with a new approach. There is going to be something different. And it's going to be interesting to see the build-up on this one, you know, through the forthcoming weeks.
I do think, to go to the fight itself, we may get a slightly different fight this time, but I'm not sure, as Nigel Benn was saying, I cannot see Conor Benn not fighting at 100 miles an hour again, because that's what he did so well the last time. And I'm not going to do my pick right now straight away, but if he fights Chris Eubank Jr in the same way again, I think he's still got a better chance of beating him than sitting back and trying to box.
I think what Conor Benn done was he got emotionally involved last time out, and he come out like a greyhound out of the traps. He started too fast, he was emotional, and that takes its toll when you got to do 12 hard rounds. And we saw what Eubank Jr had done in that 12th and final round, where you think he was spent in that 9th round, and you go, he found something from somewhere. He's got that mental strength, he has that experience, and it was somewhere that Conor hadn't been before. I think Conor will approach the fight differently. I think he'll start slower, he'll try and feel his way into the fight, but you're right, Gareth. At some point, it will have to explode, because that is what these two guys do.
Yeah, they go to war, and I think Conor Benn is the architect of the style of fight we're going to have. Very interesting as well up there, Jamie presenting the MCing, saying that he got a message in his ear from Turki Al Sheikh, obviously pushing out Netflix. The Eddie Hearn Matchroom series, Eddie and Barry Hearn, starts tonight, 6 episodes. We'll all be glued to it. We've been around those cameras filming them for the last year.
I think we're in it. I do believe we're in it, mate.
Well, let's hope not. You never know. They were filming everywhere for the whole year in all those fights we've been at. One of the things that I did find today was that, again, just to go back to it, Chris Eubank Jr is such a great orator, and I thought Conor Benn was very smart today not to take Chris Eubank Jr on in the verbal stakes. He kept to his game plan, because I don't think anyone's going to out-talk or outsmart Chris Eubank Jr when he's speaking, because he has become the consummate showman on these occasions.
And as I said, he is the master up there. He is the king up there for sure. I mean, listen, when have we ever heard Eddie Hearn not speaking at press conference because he knows he's going to get over-talked or out-talked by a different individual? Eubank Jr is that guy, and I think Conor Benn played it smart. He didn't get emotionally involved, because we know that he's emotional, and Eubank Jr will say certain things to him that will drag him in and get him emotional, and that's what Eubank's trying to do, get inside the head early. But Conor didn't take the bait.
Conor didn't take the bait, but what he did do was he wore the Man City shirt today, R.I.P. Ricky Hatton, in memory of the great Ricky Hatton, who we've all come together in the boxing community for the first time since Ricky passed away. When we learnt about it on Sunday, there was a glowing tribute to him today on the screen before we started. A final word on someone who we all loved, who felt like our best friend across the entire spectrum of boxing. So many great memories, still involved in the sport, still training for his own exhibition fight in December, training lots of boxers himself. Someone you and I knew really well. We've shed tears in the last few days, tears of love and joy and sadness at the passing of Ricky Hatton.
Yeah, we certainly have. And what people must understand about this boxing world, this wild west of the boxing world, is that we're all bitching against each other, and he's no good, and things are going on, different broadcasters, etc., etc., etc. But boxing is that little bubble, and inside that bubble, we're all family, and that's what it is. And so, when something as tragic as this happens, of course, we all get emotionally involved in it, because you do feel like you've lost a family member. Ricky Hatton was he was a supremely funny guy who would light up a room, and that is for sure. And he lived life to the fullest, and may he rest in peace.
He was one of us. We celebrate his life. You've been watching the Fight Night Daily podcast with Spencer Oliver and myself. There'll be lots of action in the upcoming weeks on Ben and Eubank, and we've just got to say a sad goodbye for now.